Alright guys, hope you're all doing well. Now today I don't really have any kind of news to just go over because we've only recently covered the title update 6.1 news, hardcore mode and all the other things in my last video. And now if you're not sure what I'm talking about, please go check out my last video which goes over all of the new stuff in detail. This is the holiday event stuff, hardcore and all the other stuff that's coming for this festive period. Instead today I want to talk more about the news of better communication and discuss what we know is coming so far. Ultimately, Wednesday's State of the Game for me did a lot to restore my faith in the future of the Division 2. There's lots of reasons for that and I wanted to go over those in today's video. And finally, I do just want to say that I think all of the feedback from this community is awesome and I actually think it's being heard, which is really, really positive. Now to start off with, Ubisoft released the notes from State of the Game on Wednesday and I want to focus firstly on communication because I think it has to be the #1 problem with the game right now. That's what everyone's talking about. I've done millions of videos on it. You guys probably know that. You know, the lack of transparency, lack of any real response from the developers to the community, major concerns, and all of that other stuff. And part of that comes from the fact that we've been talking about certain things over the life cycle of this game, which even to this day have still not made it into the game. Title Update 6 obviously did a lot for the game, but it still didn't do a lot of what we asked for. Now here's what the notes say under communication. The team feels their recent communication with players has left room for improvement and they have taken player feedback to heart. The team will put a high emphasis on keeping players informed and maintaining a productive two-way discussion. Developers acknowledge many of the same areas in the game as players for improvement. The team is still working hard on new content and is currently working on a variety of revamps to address these areas for improvement. So for the last, 2 months, as you guys have probably undoubtedly seen, I've talked about the breakdown in communication between the developers and the community. Now some weeks ago there was an article from the developers stating the State of the Game would not return until January. This was an article that actually came out from the devs themselves. And as you could expect, a lot of people, myself included, was pretty disappointed with the news. I did a video on it. It was a very negative video and I feel as though I was just representing the community in the sense that I think everyone felt the same way. Now, for me, I just didn't understand how the developers could have nothing to talk about, nothing at all, and I still don't. To be honest, right now, you know, at the moment we've got Bungie putting out these posts and infographics explaining what's coming on what day for the next 8 weeks, but we've got nothing about Year 3 or future content for the Division 2. So, to my surprise, I was actually really happy the developers addressed this breakdown in communication during State of the Game. And I genuinely felt as though this could be a turning point. Now, I'm not naive, right? So I know they've said something similar before and it's not happened. But this time, I just really felt as though the developers knew how we all felt about communication. Now, the weekly articles at the moment, they're really good. You know, I think they're a really good step in the right direction. I've enjoyed them. And at first I didn't actually like the ideas of kind of articles as opposed to something like State of the Game or that type of environment or stream or whatever. But I've really come round to liking them. So that's really, really cool. And I think they need to keep those up. I guess we'll have to see what happens with the communication. State of the Game will be live next Wednesday. And then we have the Christmas break then until January. Now, if any of the developers are watching this video, I implore you, at the end of the stream next week, you know, just tease us with something for future content. A name, a cutscene, it could be anything really. And I just think this would be a really good way to end the year. You know, leave us hanging over Christmas and New Year's. Give us something to look forward to. Can you imagine the amount of speculation and the excitement over the name of a new activity? Or they could even just come out and say, look guys, we've got this brand new PvE activity. It's wave based. We're not going to say exactly how it works, where it is, you know, anything like that, but we'll just give us a little bit of information. And I guarantee you people would go into Christmas and go into New Year's happy that in January and beyond, the Division 2 is going to see some sort of comeback. Now, next up, the developers provide us with a development update on the State of the Game. And this was really important to hear about because it highlighted what is being worked on and more importantly, reassure the community that the game is being worked on. And this is what was confirmed. And it says, development update. While we are not quite ready to talk about the episode 3 or what lies beyond just yet, we wanted to provide you with a little sneak peek of game mechanics that we are working to improve with the help of your feedback. Some of the areas that I'm currently working on is recalibration, item stats RNG, a dark zone, and UI improvements. And just reading back through my script here, they didn't mention PvP, guys. So any of you guys wanted PvP news? Yeah, there's nothing here. Now these revamps, they're not going to be part of episode 3 and will go live at a later date. Additional information on these revamps will be available in January, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts in the meantime. Now, for me, it's very good news to hear that all the key components of the game are still being worked on. And I guess I always knew this. I never believed anyone who said that developers had just kind of given up. But it's always nice to hear the developers come out, with kind of full transparency and just stem some of the rumours going around. Now, it's no big secret that whilst Title Update 6 did a lot to help with some of the major issues in the game, the changes made were, they were kind of just like a hot fix until the main updates for these areas were completed. These revamps, which take a lot longer than just a little band-aid. Even the developers said that in the stream on Wednesday as well. Now, I think the biggest news to come out on Wednesday was the new holiday event. We had the new snowball firing weapon called the Slayer, new apparel event, and the announcement of hardcore mode. Now, whilst this isn't exactly, new content, it is something. It's more than what I was expecting. Hardcore mode is something I've seen people requesting since The Division, a more unforgiving experience than survival. Now, whilst this definitely does not replace survival, and how this mode could be so good in The Division 2, it is something. It gives me a reason to play. I'm actually really excited to see how far I can go in this new hardcore mode. I can already see my first video on hardcore being 10 minutes long, where I die from a freak grenade or just something ridiculous, but I'm just really looking forward to playing through it. I'd like them to maybe implement some sort of timer so you can kind of like challenge your friends or other people. The timer would stop whilst in the base of operations or safe house, of course, and you could do speed runs for the first person to get to World Tier 1 or whatever it might be. But I think that would be good, and it would add some sort of good competitiveness to the mode. And at the end of the day, it's going to be better than Expeditions, right? So I'm excited to play this mode. Now, the new weapon itself looks cool. The design on the weapon is interesting, but more importantly, I want to see how this weapon looks when firing snowballs. Now, the new apparel event as well, again, looks very, very good. The 4 new outfits look more in line with the Division universe. And the dark theme, it's very fitting. I'm actually looking forward to this apparel event, which I didn't think I'd say this side of the new year. So I will be playing a lot more often because I want that Reaper mask right now. It's so cool. What was especially good about the announcement of apparel event was the developers confirming that the inspiration came from community feedback. Now, this is exactly what I wanted to hear, and it gives me great optimism for Year 2 of the Division 2 and Year 3 as well. I think Episode 3 is going to be similar to what Episode 1 and Episode 2 brought, which is, 2 new main missions, 2 classified assignments for Year 1 pass holders, a new specialization, maybe a new gun, and then some other changes to the core game. And I'm okay with this because I know the developers are working on some major stuff for Year 2. At least that's what the first game taught me. Now, when you consider everything I've said in this video, I'm actually optimistic for the future of the Division 2, especially Year 2, when I think we're going to start to see some major content drops and changes to the core game. I might be premature on this one, of course, but there was something about Wednesday's State of the Game that, really made me believe what the developers were saying. Now, I realise that for Year 2 and Year 3, we'll likely be asked to put some money forward to access this new content, whether that be a yearly pass or a set price for each content DLC, but I'm not going to lie, I'd happily dump more money into this game if it means we're going to get everything the community has asked for. The Division 2 has followed a very similar path to the Division. It starts off with pretty good praise, but then as soon as people hit the end game, they realise there's actually no end game. I mean, the Division 2, they specifically said they built this game for end game, and yet there really isn't any end game unless you've got 7 friends who can run through the raid. But then, so basically we got Year 1 being a bit of a mess, and then Year 2 and Year 3 bringing the game back to life. Let's hope this is true for the Division 2, and I've got a lot of faith in these developers to achieve that. But that's it for today's video, guys. I appreciate anyone who has commented saying, I flip-flop a lot. I know that. But, with this game, that's kind of how it is, right? You have peaks and troughs, ups and downs. It happened throughout the life cycle of the Division 1. It happens with every game. So some days I'm happy with what they've done. Some days I'm not happy. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm happy all the time on videos, guys, when I'm not. I'm going to be real. If I don't agree with something, I'm going to make it, and I'm making a video about it, I'm going to say I don't agree with it. And likewise, if there's something that I really enjoyed, Wednesday's State of the Game, then I'm going to make a video on it, and I'm going to say how much I enjoyed it, because I really did. I think State of the Game on Wednesday was a really good one for me, because they looked at communication, and that for me is the biggest thing right now. And it feels like a long time that I can finally sit here and make a positive video, because I'm actually really excited for next year, because I know what they can do. I know what they did with the Division 1, and I suspect we're going to get something similar for the Division 2, and it will be very good going into Year 2 and Year 3. Thank you very much if you stuck around to the end, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't dropped a like on the video yet, please do. It does help me out. If you haven't subscribed and you enjoy Division 2 content, then please subscribe. Really, really do appreciate it. And until the next one, Epic out.